June 6, 1944. Just before dawn. Across the English Channel, an armada of more than 5,000 ships and landing craft moves through cold gray water toward the coast of France. On board are over 150,000 Allied soldiers, American, British, Canadian, and others, about to storm Hitler's fortress Europe. The code name is Operation Overlord. The first day of the assault has another name the world will never forget: D-Day. In this documentary, we'll break down how the invasion was planned, how the landings unfolded on the beaches of Normandy, and why D-Day became the turning point of World War II in Western Europe. By 1944, Nazi Germany has occupied most of Europe for years. France, Belgium, the Netherlands, Denmark, Norway, much of Eastern Europe, all under German control. In the east, the Soviet Union bleeds heavily, driving the Wehrmacht back at enormous cost. The Western Allies, Britain, the United States, Canada, and others, face a stark reality. To defeat Hitler, it's not enough to bomb from the air or fight on the seas. They must open a second front on land in Western Europe. Earlier attempts had been too small or too costly. The evacuation at Dunkirk in 1940, the failed Dieppe raid in 1942, both showed how dangerous the Channel coast could be. Now, in 1944, with American industry in full gear and Soviet armies pressing from the east, the Allies are ready to try again, this time on an unprecedented scale. The overall plan is called Operation Overlord. Supreme Allied Commander, General Dwight D. Eisenhower. Ground forces for the initial assault under General Bernard Montgomery. The Allies choose Normandy, not the more obvious Pas-de-Calais, for their main landing. Calais is closer to Britain, but also more heavily defended and expected. Normandy offers wide, gently sloping beaches within reach of British ports, with room to build up forces and link them together. But it also means longer crossings, unpredictable weather, and dangerous tides. Planning Overlord takes months. Shipping schedules, tides and moonlight, air support and airborne drops, intelligence and resistance movements. Every detail matters. A separate deception plan, Operation Bodyguard, aims to fool the Germans. Fake radio traffic, inflatable tanks and dummy camps in southeast England. A phantom 1st U.S. Army Group under General George Patton near Dover. The goal: convince German High Command that the main blow will fall at Calais, not Normandy. If that works, German reserves will hesitate, and D-Day's chances improve. Across the Channel, Germany prepares its defenses. Field Marshal Erwin Rommel is put in charge of strengthening the Atlantic Wall, a chain of bunkers, gun positions, minefields, and beach obstacles stretching from Norway to the Bay of Biscay. Rommel knows the Allies will come somewhere along this coast. He also knows that if they establish a firm beachhead, German chances fade quickly. So he orders concrete bunkers with overlapping fields of fire, artillery and machine gun nests covering likely landing points, mines on the beaches and in the shallows, iron and wooden obstacles designed to tear apart landing craft and tanks on the sand. He wants to defeat the invasion on the beaches before it can spread inland. But Germany no longer controls the skies. Allied bombers and fighters pound railways, bridges, and supply depots across France, making it harder for German reinforcements to move once the invasion begins. The timing of D-Day depends on weather, tides, and moonlight. The Allies need a low tide at dawn so engineers can see and clear obstacles, plus enough moonlight for airborne operations just after midnight. In early June, a narrow window appears. Then storms sweep across the channel. Waves rise, winds howl, visibility drops. On June 4th, Eisenhower postpones the attack. On June 5th, his meteorologists predict a brief break in the weather, rough seas, but just calm enough for a crossing. If they delay again, they may have to wait weeks, risking leaks and lost momentum. After tense debate, Eisenhower makes the call. Okay, let's go. D-Day will be June 6, 1944. Shortly after midnight, the first Allied troops to enter France are not coming by sea, but by air. American 82nd and 101st Airborne Divisions drop behind the western flank near Utah Beach. Their missions: seize causeways, block German counterattacks, capture key towns and road junctions. To the east, British and Canadian paratroopers and glider-borne troops from the 6th Airborne Division land near the Orne River and Caen Canal. They aim to hold bridges, like the now famous Pegasus Bridge, destroy coastal guns, and prevent German armor from reaching the beaches quickly. The night is chaotic. Flak bursts in the dark. Some transport planes drop paratroopers off course amid flooded fields and hedgerows. Units scatter, small groups forming ad hoc teams to complete whatever objectives they can reach. But the effect is powerful. German defenses are confused, communications disrupted, and key positions fall into Allied hands before dawn. While paratroopers fight inland, the invasion fleet crosses the channel. On cramped troop ships and landing craft, soldiers try to rest or pray. Many are seasick in the rough water. Officers walk the decks, checking gear, speaking quietly to their men. Chaplains hold brief services. Letters home are folded and tucked away. As night gives way to the first gray light of morning, the full size of the armada becomes clear. Battleships, cruisers and destroyers, troop transports, landing craft of every size and shape. 5 main beach sectors have code names the world will remember. Utah and Omaha for the Americans. Gold and Sword for the British. Juno for the Canadians. Above them, Allied aircraft swarm, fighters, bombers, transports, filling the skies over Normandy. At dawn, Allied naval guns open fire. Battleships and cruisers pound coastal defenses. Bombers strike gun batteries and strongpoints behind the beaches. The thunder of artillery rolls across the water. The first assault waves head in. At the westernmost beach, Utah, strong currents push some landing craft off course, ironically putting them on a slightly less defended stretch of sand. American troops come ashore under fire, but with fewer obstacles than expected. They push inland to link up with airborne units who have seized causeways through the flooded lowlands. By the end of the day, Utah Beach is considered one of the more successful landings. Farther east, it's a different story. At Omaha Beach, the terrain and defenses combine to create one of the most brutal scenes of D-Day. High bluffs overlook a gently curving beach. German positions, machine guns, mortars, artillery have clear fields of fire over the sand and the approaches. Many tanks and landing craft sink in the rough surf or are destroyed before reaching the shore. Bombing and bombardment miss or fail to neutralize key strongpoints. The first waves of U.S. troops are pinned down behind shingle banks and sparse obstacles under intense fire. For hours, progress is uncertain. Slowly, small groups of soldiers, officers, NCOs, and enlisted men of all ranks gather, organize, and begin to climb the bluffs using ravines, shell holes, and any available cover. They knock out bunkers, overrun trenches, and open paths off the beach. By afternoon, despite heavy losses, footholds at Omaha are secured. The beachhead holds. On the British and Canadian beaches, Gold, Juno, and Sword, the picture is mixed, but overall more favorable. Specialized engineering tanks, nicknamed Hobart's Funnies, help clear obstacles, lay bridges, and crush wire. At Gold and Juno, British and Canadian forces face strong opposition, but manage to fight their way inland, capturing villages and advancing toward the key road networks. At Sword, British troops push toward the city of Caen, a major objective for D-Day and the days that follow. Throughout the day, German responses are fragmented. Some local commanders react quickly, but confusion, damaged communications, and Allied air attacks on roads and bridges slow reinforcements. Higher-level decisions are delayed. Hitler, asleep for part of the morning, is not immediately awakened. Key armored divisions are held back, waiting for confirmation that Normandy is the real invasion, not a feint before an attack at Calais. By the time the scale of Overlord is clear, the Allies are firmly ashore. By nightfall, on June 6, 1944, the Allies have established a series of beachheads along the Normandy coast. They have not met all their D-Day objectives. Some units are still short of planned lines. Caen is not taken. The American and British sectors are not yet fully linked. But the essential goal has been achieved: a lodgment on the continent. Tens of thousands of troops, tanks, artillery, and supplies are on French soil. D-Day is only the beginning. In the weeks that follow, the Allies pour men and materiel into Normandy, building artificial mulberry harbors and using captured ports. Hedgerows and narrow lanes make the countryside deadly and slow. German units, including elite panzer divisions, fight hard, but the beachheads expand. By late July, American forces break out in Operation Cobra, punching through German lines and racing across France. In August, much of the German army in Normandy is encircled and destroyed in the Falaise pocket. Paris is liberated. German forces retreat toward their own borders. The road to the end of the war in Europe is now open. D-Day's cost is heavy. On June 6th alone, thousands of Allied soldiers are killed, wounded, or missing. German casualties are also severe. French civilians in the battle zone suffer under bombardment and fighting. But the strategic impact is enormous. For the first time since 1940, large Allied armies stand on Western European soil. From now on, Germany will face powerful foes advancing from both east and west. Today, the beaches of Normandy are quiet. Where landing craft once rode surf under fire, tourists now walk along the sand. Concrete bunkers and rusting gun emplacements still mark the bluffs. Inland, immaculate cemeteries, American, British, Canadian, German, hold row upon row of crosses and headstones. D-Day, June 6, 1944, remains one of the most daring and consequential military operations in history. A combination of planning, courage, sacrifice, and sheer determination. You've been watching D-Day, 1944, the Invasion of Normandy. If you want more intense, frontline-style World War II documentaries, subscribe, like, and explore our other videos. History's turning points aren't just names in textbooks. Sometimes they're a single dawn, like the morning when thousands of young men crossed the Channel and changed the course of the war on the beaches of Normandy.